Thank you so much. Welcome to the stream. Hope you had a great weekend. Today is Monday, which is a holiday here in Nova Scotia. I don't know, in Ontario it's called Family Day. I don't know if it's called Family Day here in Nova Scotia, but in anyways, hopefully you're having a great day. And, you know, if you're taking time off and you're not working, that is fantastic. Enjoy it. But of course, us here trying to build businesses and trying to make $1 million companies, there's no such thing as holidays. There's just work days and sleep, I think. So that's what we're going to do. And today it's going to be a little bit of a different episode in the sense that I'm going to start off not by just diving into doing the work that I've been doing in terms of making the websites, but I'm going to talk about business structures and how I envision to basically create the whole infrastructure of the companies that I want to set up and to figure out kind of what makes sense for me. And what I'll say is that this 100% is not any kind of tutorial or any kind of saying like this is what you should do, because honestly I have no idea. I don't know how to set up corporate structures in a way to maximize taxes and all that kind of stuff. I have no idea about that, but I just have thoughts and ideas of what I think will make sense. So that's what I'm going to try to do, is to build something that makes sense for me. And the real idea is like why I'm doing these live streams and why I'm kind of just putting this information out there is because I want to see, you know, down the road of all the different things and ideas that I had and go back and say like, hey, you know what, those things that I did before, you know, they didn't make any sense at all. Now I have more information, more knowledge. Now they kind of make sense. So that's the idea behind why I'm kind of doing these live streams. It's to kind of, you know, have like a blueprint or a guide or whatever, or just a documentation of all the things that I've learned and mistakes that I've made along the way, because I've made a lot of mistakes in the past and I know I'm going to make a lot of mistakes in the future. So this isn't a guide. This isn't like, this is what you should do. This is what I think right now in my current state and my current knowledge, what I think is best. And then we're going to see if that makes sense or not, or if I'm, you know, not if I'm right, but if that was the best decision for me to make right now moving forward. And the idea for me is just to surround myself with people that know more than me and know this kind of stuff better than I do. So so that being said, where should I start? So I think we're gonna go on to Photoshop and sketch some things out. But I think a good place to start would be to talk about why I decided to incorporate the business. So basically, Pixel Media Corporation, which is what we've been designing and developing over the past couple weeks, is my media company. And basically what we do is we do web design, we do web applications, site development, site application design and development, so like mobile apps, and content creation, whether that's written content or it could also be things like audio and video production, so that kind of content. So if you have a podcast or a video podcast or whatever, or just straight videos, those are the kinds of things that Pixel Media is going to do. Whether that's going to change in the future or not, I don't know. That depends. But for now, that's what we're going to do. And that I incorporated a business, Pixel Media Corporation, as a Canadian business. And I think in Canada, there's 2 or maybe 3 different ways that you can kind of run businesses. Number one, you could have like a corporate structure. You could just incorporate. You can incorporate federally or provincially. And the second one is you can do a sole proprietor. And is there another one? I think it could be like a partnership or something. I thought there was something in between, and maybe that's a partnership. I'm not sure. Again, I'm definitely not an expert on this kind of things. But anyways, I'm going to focus on the 2 things between sole proprietorship and being a corporation, and why I decided to go for the incorporated route. And I think for me, there are like 2 main reasons as to why I decided to go for a corporation. And like in my point of view, like being a sole proprietorship, I don't see really what benefit you would have to do that as opposed to be incorporated, except maybe some financial concerns that you might have with the cost of incorporating a company. So for example, when you run as a sole proprietorship, and I think the first business that I've done was a sole proprietorship, and the reason why I don't like that is because number one, liability. So you are liable for anything bad that can happen in your company. So let me rephrase that in a better way. So if you're a sole proprietorship and you do something in your company that'll cause you to get sued, then you as a person and your individual and all your assets that you have that are kind of outside the company, they are at risk from being sued. So you can lose your house or whatever if you get sued. So for example, if I was running a deck building company and I was the sole proprietor, and then I built a deck for somebody, for a client, And then for whatever reason, that deck collapsed while they were on it, and they were injured or killed, or God forbid something really bad would happen. That person could sue your company, which is deck building, Acme deck building, and they can sue your company for all the assets or whatever that the company has. But they can also come after your personal assets because you're operating as a sole proprietor. So you're like basically one entity. And that could be very dangerous because you could potentially lose your house, your car, or whatever, right? So when you incorporate, you're basically, from my understanding, is you're kind of creating, not like another person, but you're creating another entity that is its own thing. So everything that you do as a corporation, it's enveloped and protected inside that kind of asset or that thing that you created, which is a corporation. So you hear lots of times with corporations, like like ExxonMobil or something like that, they go off and they spill, there's like an oil spill or whatever, and they dump all this kind of oil. Like the people that are running the corporate, they're personally not getting sued. Like the company's getting sued and they have to pay for that, right? So there's a certain amount of protection there. I'm sure they have way more complex legal structures, but they're protected. And that's the idea behind why I decided, one of the reasons why I wanted to incorporate is to protect myself and to protect my personal assets, which, as you know, if you've seen in my other videos, like I really don't have any, but still in the future, I hope to have a whole lot of assets, and I don't want them to be put at risk if anything ever down the line happens to my company. So that's the first one, is like liability and asset protection. So the second reason of why I decided to incorporate versus going sole proprietorship is for the tax benefits. And so let's go to the example back to the guy who's building decks. So say I have like my job and I make like $80,000 a year on my job. And then on the side, I build decks, on the weekends or whatever. And that brings in, say, another $20,000. So instead of paying that taxes on just that $20,000 as extra income that you make from doing your work as a business owner, you're actually paying taxes as an individual up to like $100,000. So that $20,000 gets added on to your $80,000. So you're paying tax at that $100,000 tax rate. Like I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like all the money that you make individually from your income from your job or whatever that you're doing gets combined in as a sole proprietor, or as the money that you also get from doing business, right? So that's all into one pile. And then you're paying at these really ridiculous high tax rates for personal income, which is really, really high. And so instead, if you were to make $20,000 and you were going to put that into a corporation, so now instead of paying that tax rate at whatever, the marginal tax rate, above $80,000, which is like really high, like 32% or something crazy like that. So instead of doing that, you're paying at a corporate tax rate. So $20,000 at the corporate tax rate, I think it's something ridiculously low. Like within your first $500,000, I think the corporate tax rate is like between 12 and 15%. I think it varies depending on the province that you're in, which I should probably know this for Nova Scotia. But I think, I don't know, say it's 15%. So 15% is a lot better than 32% or whatever. And that's up to $500,000. So anything over $500,000, which I haven't figured out what that tax rate is yet because I'm not near making that much in profit too, mind you. That's a whole lot of tax savings, right? So it's much, much better to pay that money in a corporation. You're going to pay a whole lot less taxes. So, and of course, within a sole proprietorship and a corporation, you can also have, your expenses and all that kind of stuff too. But the thing too is also within a corporation, that $20,000, you can have all these different expenses as well too, that you can put towards whatever you've done in order to build your decks or whatever. And you could even further lower your tax rate. So the less you can pay in taxes, the better. So that's another big benefit for me for incorporating is for taxes. And I'll say one thing about taxes is I personally, I don't mind paying taxes, but if I could limit how much taxes I'm paying and I could instead use that money in order to build my business, which in turn will help drive value towards my community and towards society by creating jobs and all those kinds of things, to me, that is much, much more valuable. So if I can figure out a way to minimize how much taxes I pay so I can use that to create more value and put that out to the world, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I'm never going to try to not pay taxes or go down to these crazy tax havens or anything like that. I don't want to do that. The amount of work that I think is going to be necessary to try to avoid paying taxes and registering in all kinds of different places around the world and setting up these complex structures, I have no interest in doing that. I don't mind paying taxes. But I still doesn't mean I just want to throw my money away. And the reason I say that is, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that we can talk about in terms of paying taxes, in terms of how well the government actually uses that tax money. So we're here in Canada, we're getting taxed like, I think that the tax rate is ridiculous. We pay so much taxes, and I think we get very little benefits of what we should be getting, considering how much tax we pay. But that's a whole other issue as to whether Canada uses their taxes appropriately or not. We can get talking about that, for days and days and days. But I think the way that I like to think is if I can keep 20%, of the money that would rather go to taxes, but I keep that in my company, I think I could do a much better job of providing value to society in terms of creating jobs for other people. And of course, when you create jobs, those people are going to pay taxes as well too. I think I could do a much better job at growing my business and growing value and providing value to the world than I can just spending more money on taxes that are just going to go to, whatever, right? Whatever the whatever our government pays in taxes, right? So that's the frame of mind that I have for how I want to set up things for taxes. So yeah. So let's talk about our business structure. So as I said before, Pixel Media Corporation is just a single entity, and that's it. It's an entity on its own. Actually, now will be a good time. Let me bring up, this should work. I could take that. There we go. And let's see if my pen here is working. All right, let's get a brush tool. And let's just get this. Okay. So, and I don't think I'm any better here, but all right. Oh, typing or writing. How's that? That seems like it's kind of big enough. If you can't see that, let me know. All right. Pixel structure. Actually, you know what? Not pixel. Can I erase? Oh, it's erasing everything. One second. No. There we go. Okay. Get rid of that. Okay. So what do I want to say here? Oh my goodness. So structure. Okay. Do excuse the handwriting. I need to figure out how to get better with this thing. I guess I just need to practice. Okay. So what do I have right now in my life? So I have Pixel Media, and it's a standalone corporation. I think it's federally incorporated. So I also have DataShift, which again is a corporation, and I think that is provincially incorporated. And there's 3 partners. With all equal ownership. And then I have, what else do I have? I have Giving It Away, which is also a corporation. This was my first real kind of venture into business. And we'll talk about that quite a bit, I think, because I've thought about that every day since I've started. Of the idea behind it and how I still think it can work, but that's just me. Maybe being a little bit too much of a dreamer. And so that's just me. So I guess ownership. So these are all individually incorporated companies. And so what I'm thinking of doing, so I should say, so this one, this here, maybe let me use a different color. Gotta figure out shortcut keys here. So I'll say that this is active, which I'm actively doing work on. And these ones here, they're dormant because I'm not doing any work on them. So, but it's not because I don't want to, but it's just because I'm trying to figure out the best way that I can start to make some money so that I can basically feed and provide my family, provide shelter and all that kind of stuff. And then I will start putting in more work and more time and effort into trying to build these things up because I do think that they're valuable and they can provide and they can be successful businesses on their own. But for now, it's just like forgetting DataShift, because right now, basically DataShift is a data platform where people can go in, they can organize, and they can view all the data that's coming in real time, kind of really built for scientists and researchers. But it could be any kind of data. So it's basically a data management tool. But the way it's set up right now, it's like $100 a month to use the platform. And that's great and all, but in order for me to be able to create enough revenue to be able to pay for everything, I mean, $100 a month times, if I know I need $3,000 a month to live, so I'm going to need to get 30 people at $100. So that's $3,000 a month. And of course, there's 3 of us, right? So we're going to need to have a whole lot of people to come onto the platform in order to be viable as something that could help pay my bills. Whereas opposed to Pixel right now, I can get a contract for a website and it'll be $10,000 to do one website, right? So that's a lot easier for me to try to put my all my effort into, because I know that I can get the return that I need in order to be able to feed my family. Because right now I don't have a job. The only income I have is whatever I make from Pixel or whatever else I'm doing at the time, right? So that's why it's important for me to focus on that. So they're not lost. They're just they're still in the back of my mind, but right now we're focusing on Pixel. So that's the current structure. So they're completely separate. So they don't speak to each other. So what I need to figure out and what I'm trying to understand is there a way that I could structure these companies in order for them to be able to basically talk to each other? Like, I think when I'm building apps or whatever, you have like APIs or whatever, it's all about how can you get different applications to talk to one another, right? Like, hey, if you have a website and you have someone that signs up, that sends data and information to your newsletter subscription service or whatever, and then that maybe sends something to your email or whatever. So like they're all interconnected, and I'm like, well, can't corporations be that as well too? Can't they communicate with each other? And instead of sending signals in terms of like what people are doing on the applications, can't you have corporations where they can share like their profit and losses, right? So if one company makes $100,000 and another company makes $0 or negative 100,000 or whatever, I guess you can't make negative. I guess you could be in the negative, but anyways, I think you know what I mean. It doesn't make any money. Can you shift that? So instead of paying taxes on a company that's making $100,000, can I shift that extra profit, say that $100,000 to another company that was made negative, 100,000? Then they're both at zero, and then you pay no taxes at all, right? And I think you can do that. But again, I don't know. But this is what I think on Wednesday I have a meeting to talk to my accountant, which I'm super excited about, and I'm gonna bring this up to her. What I'm gonna be telling you guys now is what I'm gonna propose to her to see if that's something that I can set up, if it makes sense to me, because I don't even know if it makes sense to me. But in my head it does, but I don't know if this can be done. So, but I think companies do that. So, for example, there's this video I saw the other day. They're talking about like Starbucks, like how does, these big companies, they don't pay any taxes. I mean, what they have like operation companies, and those operation companies are the ones that, they're on the ground, they make, the coffee or whatever. But then they have like a corporate office or whatever that has all kinds of different assets. And one of those assets could be the patents on, how to make the coffees, and they can hold the rights to being able to use the trademarks and the branding and all that kind of stuff. So you have the operating company making a whole boatload of money on all the coffee they're selling, but yet they have to pay money to the parent company in order to license the patents or whatever it is that they have. Actually a really good movie, if you haven't seen, it's called Founder. It's I think it's Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton, the guy who played like the original Batman. I think it's Michael Keaton. Anyways, he plays the guy Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, and it shows his story about how he took McDonald's from like one restaurant to like what McDonald's is now. And there's this really fantastic scene where he's talking to this guy, one of the guys. I can't remember the guy's name. He's a really great guy. He's on The Office. Anyways, the guy's talking. He's like, "You're in the wrong business. You're not in the hamburger business. You're in the real estate business." And he's saying what you need to do is instead of selling hamburgers, you need to create a corporate structure which licenses to other McDonald's the ability to use McDonald's name and how they do their hamburgers or whatever it is, and then they buy all the land and then they rent out to those McDonald's. So like all the people that own McDonald's, they have to pay a bunch of money to the corporate structure. So anyways, the point I'm trying to say is that's not very elegant at all. You should watch the clip because it's really watch the movie. It's fantastic. The point being is, all these other little companies, they could pay money, and you could just figure out ways how you can offset expenses so that way you can pay less taxes. Legally, I mean, this is all legal, right? And I think the way to think about taxes too is, sorry, this is going aside because, like I said, this is probably a little bit more rambly, so I do apologize if I am rambling. The thing about the tax structure and the way it is that they're really designed, for the most part, for companies. Like it gives companies incentives to do things, right? Like there's heavy tax structures that favor people, even here in Canada, to build real estate, right? Because the government can't build real estate because they're shit at it. They don't do that kind of stuff. So they incentivize people and companies to build buildings and houses or whatever that people need, and you could do that. So there's lots of things that you can do in order to carry debt or whatever it is, and refinancing properties or whatever, and you put that into real estate to build more and more, and you can pay like no taxes. Like it's crazy, but you're providing a service, I guess, to society, right? So the way the tax laws are written, for the most part, my understanding is that they're meant to incentivize companies for doing things that are beneficial to society, right? So when people say like, oh, rich companies, whatever, they got to pay their fair share in taxes, it's like, it bugs me to a certain point where people aren't understanding the value that people bring and the value that companies can bring into society. And the thing is too, is if you're doing things right, you're still going to pay taxes, and you still pay a shit ton of taxes. I mean, if you look at the majority of taxes that people pay, or that rich people and rich corporations pay, they pay most of the taxes. And anyways, it's getting a little bit more philosophical here. So let's get back on point. So I do, like I said, I do want to minimize my taxes. So are there ways that we can do that? Okay. So those are the current structures. So what my idea is and my thoughts are, and I've been doing a little bit of research on this and to see how this can make sense and if this makes sense for me. So I don't know. So I think what the idea is, I keep pressing a button, is basically to create a holding company. I keep pressing a button. I'm going to get my fingers away. Let me erase this here. All right. Oh, no. All right. So if I create a holding company, and what this company does is its sole existence is to hold assets and maybe some investments, and maybe some property. So basically the idea behind having a holding company is that it doesn't do anything except hold assets, and it holds other companies too, I'd say. And then, so you have this holding company. It doesn't, basically, I think the word is, it's not like an operational company. I guess the holding company would be the name, I think. So you have like a holding company or an operational company. Okay. So I have a holding company, and what that company owns is it owns Pixel. It'll own DataShift, or at least my portion of DataShift, right? So that'll just be a third. It'll own Giving It Away. This is a little bit of a sneak peek in things that are happening here within the next few months. Actually, this one is imminent. It'll own Project 365. This one's also imminent. So it'll own all these companies. And this is where I don't know if it makes sense or not. Because I understand, like McDonald's, their holding company or whatever, they own the real estate, right? So they have all kinds of real estate all over the world. So they're super rich in all the real estate that they hold. But Pixel, or I guess nothing I do right now holds any real estate. But what I think it could hold, and does this make sense? I don't know. It could hold equipment. Oh my goodness. So for me, it's like all my camera and just like AV gear. Is it a lot? No. But I think right now, I don't know what the value of all the stuff I have. It could be around 20K, right? So not a lot, but it can hold that. And then what I could do, and again, are there any tax benefits to this? I really don't know. So Pixel, what it does, not only just Pixel, but all these other companies as well too. If there's a film or anything that I need to make for any of these businesses, they basically have to rent out stuff from the holding company, right? So the holding company owns it, and then these companies will rent it, whatever that stuff might be. And then so what happens is any profit, like any money that is made, gets shot up to this company. Oh my God, that's horrible. Let's do this in a different color. Let's make this green because that makes the most sense, right? For money. Let's shift this to green. So any money that Pixel makes will go up to here into the holding company as a dividends, right? And all that goes up to here. So none of these operating companies should be making any profit, I guess. And how this makes sense to me is from this holding company. I mean, who owns the holding company? It's me, right? So I own the holding company, and how I get paid is I get paid dividends through the holding company. And so that's how I get paid. So, and then all the profit and losses from all these different, whatever the holding company owns, can kind of get spread around and shared around in order to, I don't know, like I said, right, minimize taxes, I guess, and maximize profits and whatever I could distribute back into being able to do better, to be doing more work. Yeah, and there's one thing too that could potentially fit in the middle, and I don't know if this makes sense or not, but this is, let me try going here. So I can have, here's me. And the whole thing about it is like, how do I get paid, right? How do I get paid money? So what I could do, and again, I think in Canada, the laws here have changed quite a bit since 2015, since we've had a new government. So I'm not sure exactly if this makes sense. And this is holding. And then down here are the businesses. Right? So the way that I've seen this being presented before is that what you can do is you have a holding company which owns a bunch of businesses and whatever other assets that the company has. And then you have a trust which is set up, which, a trust, basically what that does, I think, and I could have my kids in here or whatever, is a trust is something that indicates or tells whatever the company of how assets are supposed to be allocated, something like that. So there's another chain here. I don't know if this makes sense or if it just makes sense to own the holding company straight up, but either way you own everything, right? But it's just through different layers. And I don't know if those layers offer you more protection for liability or whatever. I'm not sure, but I think this is something like, I don't know if it makes sense to do that. To me, my gut is saying no, don't have this. Just have the holding company and have different businesses underneath that. So this is what I'm going to ask my accountant. And I don't know if I need to procure a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer yet, so I don't know if I need to talk to a lawyer because there's these two things here that I want to get started very soon. And then I need to know how I need to incorporate these things in a way that makes the most sense. Oh, so one thing I was talking to you about before about, incorporating versus the sole proprietor is that there's expenses that are associated with incorporating. So for me, when I incorporated, it cost $200 plus like doing a name search. And I just incorporated through the federal website. So I didn't get any lawyer or anything like that to incorporate me because I just want to start doing business. And if there's anything that I need to do in the future, I think a lawyer will be able to help me out to figure out what the structure is and just kind of redo things. So I know this cost me, I think it was like maybe $215. The reason I say that is because DataShift, we got lawyers to incorporate, and this cost upwards of $6,000. It might have even been more than that. And I was not happy about that because I didn't want to pay lawyers anything. And these lawyers, it was just so ridiculously expensive. But I understand the reasons why, because of who my partners are. And they have, a lot of assets to protect or whatever. So we wanted to make sure it was done right, which is fair. And then when I incorporated giving it away, and this was back in 2008, 2009, so this was a shit ton of money back then, still is now. It cost me this much money to incorporate. And that was because I had a lawyer go through it and to figure out some other legal things in terms of could we actually do the business and making sure things were legal because we're basically giving money away to people for free. Not really for free, but in exchange for, email addresses and participation basically. Because there are different, you can't like have a gambling website basically because it's not like gambling, but it's a giveaway, right? Actually, yeah, it can't be gambling because it can't have any skill associated with it. It has to all be kind of luck based. Right. So I don't want to pay any of those fees. So $200, right? So is this going to be expensive? Am I going to have to pay a lot of money if I want to incorporate this thing or if I want to incorporate this? I don't know. Questions. So I'm going to find that out on Wednesday. Let me know. What do you think? Like, does this make sense? Or am I making this way too complicated than it needs to be? Should I just incorporate things individually and then just go from there? Because something can be said for, you know what, you're small, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal because I'm not making like a shit ton of money right now. So don't really worry about it and, worry about it later. But then it's like, well, if you just set up everything right at the start, then it just makes things so much easier in the future. Say I wait a year or two and then all of a sudden these companies are bringing in, Pixel is making that $1 million in revenue every year. And these other projects are making, $50,000, $100,000 or whatever it is. And then I got to spend a whole bunch of money on lawyers and whatever to go back to the finances and whatever and like kind of sort all that shit out. Maybe there's going to be even more money and more expensive. So I don't mind paying a couple $100 to incorporate a company. That's not a big deal to me if everything makes sense. So what's Charlene saying here? Accountant will be the one to confirm, but makes sense to me that it's set up properly from the beginning. Yeah. No, yeah. I agree. Like, get things done right. Is this right? I don't know. I don't know if this is right at all. But from what I've been reading and what I've been learning, it seems like doing something like this could provide you, number one, the best protection, and also the best flexibility with, even with like selling a company. So the example that I've kept hearing is like, say you own a company, and it's like an operating company that's like like a laundromat, as an example, but yet you own the property that the laundromat is built on, right? So if somebody wants to buy the laundromat, they might not necessarily also want to buy the property, because maybe that property costs like $1 million, and the laundromat you might be selling for $500,000. So if you want to just sell the laundromat, it could be a lot easier to just sell that as this one self-contained operating thing, as opposed to selling the land. So then what you could do is you can sell off the operating company, which is the laundromat, for $500,000, but then you can also collect rent as well, because you still own the property, and then that's still another way that you can generate income. And then maybe it makes it easier for you to sell your property to other people, because it's not so expensive, because you're not selling all the assets that are involved in it. And I think too is going back to what I was saying earlier about why you don't want to be a sole proprietorship, because your assets can be subject to, they can be put at risk if you get sued, right? And the same thing too is if you have, like for me, Pixel Media, and as I get more and more clients and I make more and more money, I can just have a bunch of assets just sitting there. I can have a bunch of money sitting in the bank. So like for right now, it's pretty cool, because I think we're doing pretty well. I think I have like 15K in the bank, and it's just sitting there. And if I was to get sued or whatever, then that money could be at risk. So the more assets you have, then the more at risk you can be. So it makes sense to me to like, okay, well, take all the stuff that I'm making as, profit or whatever from the operating company, shove all that stuff into a holding company, and then nobody can touch the holding company per se. I think there's still ways that, they can. But the holding company, like I said, it doesn't do anything. It's just an entity that just sits there and just owns stuff, right? It's not going to get into trouble, I hope, right? So I think the only way that something like that could get in trouble is if, the owner or operator is doing something, suspicious. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Oh man, I got to get really better at writing things. So that's what I want to do. And that's what I want to set up. And these projects, I'm super, Project 365 and Bookmarked. I'm really excited for these. They're going to be fun. And they're all kind of part of stuff that Pixel is already doing. So, sort of. So I'm really excited about that. And I don't think now's the time to talk about giving it away and what we've done with that company. Yeah, I'll save that for later, because that's probably gonna be further on down the year, I think. And it also depends on how things are gonna go with Pixel Media, and how much revenue we could start generating. So to give myself a little bit of leeway. Yeah, good. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about in terms of setting up my business structures. And my thoughts on this. Again, I don't know. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but we'll see. Maybe my future self will watch this video and come back and say, look at this idiot talking all this kind of stupid stuff back in the day. But I won't be one of those guys that'll say, here's 5 ways how you can make $1 million. And, I've never made $1 million before. Oh man, I think you guys know all those people I'm talking about, all those YouTubers and all that kind of stuff of like, here's ways that you could make a whole lot of money. And it's pretty clear, like their whole shtick is they're just wanting to get views on YouTube and make money through YouTube ads or what have you, or maybe sell their own little course or whatever. But that's pretty cheesy. So what shall we do now? So I think we're just going to transition into going back to the website here. So I'm really pumped. I actually just today submitted a proposal to a client. It'll be my biggest like one contract yet, and I think it was for $22,500 for some work, basically to create like a mini kind of documentary thing, along with a bunch of other creative assets. So I'm excited about the project. It will be super amazing to do, and a lot of fun, and something really cool to put on the website here. But that's just one contract. And what we need to do now is have our website so we can have multiple contracts and we can start doing some promotion. So I haven't done anything since Friday, because other things I was doing this weekend when I was preparing my quotation and the work proposal, and I was doing a few other things as well too, in terms of kind of setting up and cleaning up this office here, which was kind of a little bit of a disaster outside of what you can see here on screen. And I got a little plant back there. It's not real. It's a fake plant. I would love to get a real plant because I love real plants, but there's literally no light in here at all whatsoever, like natural light. It's just in my den, which is this closed room, but it's cozy to do work. Okay. So what do we want to do? I think what I'm going to do is, number one, I'm going to throw on some music, because as I get into the zone here and just doing work, it's nice to have some ambiance, I guess. Is that the right word? All right. Let me know if it's too loud or not loud enough. I don't want it to be too loud, but enough to get through. And we're just going to go through this page by page and kind of figure out things we want to change. And one thing that I know right off the bat of what I want to change is I'm looking at this website now and I feel a little bit underwhelmed, in the sense that there's all this white space on the sides of the site, but I think I want it to go almost all full screen, just to have a little bit more of a presence. So that's what I was thinking of doing over the weekend when I was kind of looking over this. And I could easily do that, because what we can do is we set up these containers here, and we set up a max width of 1400 pixels. But if we set it to 100%, I think there's another, and this one too. Okay. So we have this set up to 100%, but we're going to take this inside container, but we're also going to put it to 100%. So it's going to be 100% of whatever this is, which is also 100%, which has a 5 EM padding. But do I want that to have a little bit more padding? I think we do. Because we have everything else set up when we go on to the different sizes. Yeah, so let's just do a quick test here just to see what we think. Yep. So Charlene, if you're still here, how are you doing? How are things going with business for you? Just let me know. Hope all is going well. So we're going to pop this out. So looking at this versus this, I think it's going to really look a whole lot different once we have the actual images that they're going to be, and not just kind of these placeholders. But so one thing that I'm noticing right off the bat is when this is wide, these are too thin now. Like, of course it's going to be different when it gets smaller. But I think what we can have when it is, so we have different selectors. We have tall, I think we have medium and large. Let's make this a little bit taller. And this is medium. Yeah, that's 500. That's 400. And then when it's on mobile, then we can make it smaller. And we could go back down to the original. There we go. I wonder if we should go even smaller. And then this. Yes, much more in your face. Not too much. I don't want to too much in your face. So things are going well. Yeah, good. Good to hear it. Glad to hear it. Yeah, photos are coming. Good, good, good. Yeah, we still gotta get together and get your site up and running. I'm looking forward to that. So of course, let me know when you're ready for that. Yeah. Oh, listen, I hear you completely on the new inspiration and new things that kind of come into focus. But it's important to try to be as focused as you possibly can. Because if you end up doing 100 things at once, you kind of do all of them not well. Yeah. What is that? What's the saying? You end up doing a whole bunch of things. You end up doing none of them well, right? I don't know. I think you know what I'm trying to say. A little bit of focus. I know, but it's super hard. Super hard. Can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait either. It's gonna be lots of fun. Focus is yeah, it's like what is it, the like the dog chasing a squirrel? You see a squirrel run off that one, the next one, squirrel. Yeah, end up catching your tail or nothing at all. But you're gonna do awesome. I have no doubt you're gonna do awesome. I think your ideas are brilliant. I love them. So so it's gonna be good. I can't wait. At the end of the year, we're gonna laugh together at like how much money that you've made because you're just gonna kill it. Let's see. Right, I do all the other sizes. Yeah, let's publish this. Let's have a look. I might be spending too much time on this, but yeah, I think I'll just do some cleaning up today on this, and then the rest of the week it's just getting the actual content that's going to be needed to fill out the rest of this stuff. So yeah, this is too much. This is not good. But of course, when we're this size, yeah, exactly. Yep. Looking forward to it. We build brands, blah, 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 blah. So when it's this size, that's good. So maybe we need another breakpoint. I don't like making other breakpoints, but let's add another one. Right. You can't remove it. Yeah. Do we want it at that size? Or do we want it at... Let's see. Let's see at what size it really starts to break down at. So we are at 1500 pixels. Yeah, it really starts to break down. I don't want... 3 lines is good. So what are we at? 17. Breaks down around 1752 pixels. So what breakpoints can we have? We don't even have anything close to that. Can I make my own breakpoints? 7 built in. So maybe I'll just have to just code my own. Yeah, instead of adding, maybe we can just do our own. Let's see. All right, so add media. Now I can't remember how to do these, write them out. So we want to do min width. What did I say again? 1750? So I think it's H1. Let's try this. Look at this again. Yeah, 1752. 1752. Is it H1? Yeah. So H1. Oh. Right. Now. Just make sure I got my syntax correct, which I don't think I do. Nah, there it is. So let's save that, and let's put this back to, what was it, 4? I have this old one here, which I'm not going to refresh. Yeah, 4. Oh, again, it's at the H1 heading. Yeah, 4. Okay, so let's publish. And is it published? Yeah. Okay, so let's refresh. Maybe it didn't publish this stuff here. Close that. All right, refresh. There we go. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Or you know what else we can do that might... So when we get to here, then it pops up bigger, which is good. But I wonder if we... Because I think this hero section, what I have it at 80%. And then here it's still 80, and then it's 100%. What if we made it 90%? And it does go into 4 lines, but that's okay. Yeah. I don't know. I like this better. So there's this old, new, old, new. Yeah, I feel like this might hit better. Like, boom. We build brands, blah, 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 blah. fact, could this even be bigger? 7. Oh, this is getting bold. Yeah, see, this doesn't even bother me at all. And then, although make the line, okay, that's a little too crazy. I'm not hating it. Yeah. Okay. Much better. Yeah. Much better than this. So I do like that better, but how big should the font be? I mean 7.5, and then line height. I think that's what we want. Yes. What is... Oh, not this. That's not what I want. Yeah, it's the hero subheading. Okay. What are we going to do with this? This thing, I think, should also... have to go with that one as well too. Okay, one thing at a time. So what size is this now? That's the margin. Font size 1.6. Maybe 2.5. Yes. Oh, what did I do there? Font. Wait. Yes. Yes. So let's see. We got font size 2.5. Oh. Font weight 100. With the line height 1.3. Maybe let's get it slightly bigger. Line height 1.4. But then we're also going to want to change. See, do I have these in any other places though? That's a problem. Like, is this... This should be the same as well. This is the problem when you do it through here. You have to make sure you're getting your actual styles. Your other classes put in properly to make sure everything is consistent. So let's talk. And this should be the same thing. Process link text. Which should be the same for this too, right? Yes. Save changes. Did I publish or did I not publish? Published 3 minutes ago. Probably not. Okay, that didn't quite work for all of them, because why didn't this one? Hero subheading. Did I spell the class name wrong? Yes, I did. Of course I did. There's one thing that I need to change is, oh no, we gotta publish. Publish. Oh, you know what I totally forgot? I'm just gonna do this right now before I forget to put this in, because I totally forgot. Oh, this is not on. Turn on, there we go. Just because I'm gonna save this, and you never know when I might need this again. I totally forgot. Oh, jeez. Invoicing software, which doesn't have a name. That one I'm just waiting on my partner on for this one. I can own half this one. But that's going to be imminent as well too. Hopefully soon, because I need to start charging people. I need to start collecting some of that cash. Right, just write that down because I want to say, actually, let's save this. Let's save this as, where should we go to? Let's go to, where am I? Pixel. Let's go company. Let's just here at corporate structure sketches. There we go. Okay. So, right. So that's published. Let's refresh. Okay. But the one thing that I want to change is I don't want this to be font weight 100. So we're just going to create it down here. I'm missing something. I'm missing a closing bracket. And you actually need to go here. It's 2.5. There we go. And publish. There we go. So we maintain some of that boldness. And let's up this as well. Let's talk title. Up to 6. I did it again. There we go. You know what? There might be a whole bunch of other stuff here that needs to get, like, this should be probably bigger as well too. I wonder if I could just throw a whole blanket thing on the footer here. No, it won't. Oh, maybe it will. It's also messing around with all the spacing as well. So maybe I'll do that. I'll figure out where I can make everything else be a little bit more like cohesive. Oh, ouch. Everything a little bit more cohesive. Yeah, I think that'll be good. But I'm really looking at this, landing on this homepage. Yeah, we can definitely have larger titles and everything like that as well too. Should I do that now or should I do that later? I always tell my kids, don't put off what you can do now until tomorrow. What do we got? I think they're just H3 text. All right. Okay. Well, let's change that. We could do some H3. Mm-hmm. 2.3. H4 to be a little bit bigger, and then also, yeah, okay, something's bothering me, and what's bothering me is doing this through custom code. I'm trying to think if there's a better way, because we have it here at, we want 1750. And the largest one we have here is, like, we have 1920, which is too small for where we want to break it. That's almost 200 pixels in difference. And how many different things are we going to need to have to fix? What is... Like, does the text need to be bigger? And like, if everything is going to need to be bigger, it just doesn't make sense to do this custom code, because then I could forget something or what have you, and things could get lost. So, Small title. Hmm. Maybe I should just bite the bullet, so to speak, and just make the styling for the different breakpoints that you can have within Webflow. Yeah, I think that's what I'll have to do because, yeah, like this looks good too. I mean, how much bigger do I want things to be, right? Like what size is this font? Yeah, it's 19. That's small. That's small for this size. Like even my old eyes are having a little bit of a harder time seeing. Like this is good. This, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll shit. We'll do the breakpoints. Even though I don't want to. I think we'll do 2 breakpoints, right? One at 1400 and one at 1920. Yeah. Yeah. And then what we're going to do, let me take this code here. And I just put it into a Word document so I can just refer to it. I'll publish this. Okay, so we're at 19 whatever. So anything above this, we want this to have, again, H tag. We want this to be 6. And the height of 1.2. Our subheading, we also want, let's make sure it's subheading only. No, we want subheading at this side. Oh, damn it, it does this stupid stuff. Okay, we'll put that back to bottom 1 after. So this subheading, you're going to 2.5 and then 1.4 and also at 100. And then we could put a bottom 1 on it. And then we got to go to process link. Is it process link text? Yes, it is. At this size, we want 2.5 as well. And I have 1.4 height, which is even lower. That's okay. All right. Let's talk text. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. And this let's talk title 6. Beauty. Yeah. Footer link. I got 1.4. Oh, this is getting in the way. No, it's not. It's this size that we need to. Yeah, go to the same size at 1.4. Yeah. I feel like it should be the same. 1.5. 1.5. Subscribe text doesn't even have, I didn't even put it in a size. Okay, so our title, I think 1.5 is good. This we're going to have 1 point. Text field. What is this? 1.3. Well, what size are the buttons? Oh, they're at 2.5. So that would be too much, but about 2. No, let's go down to 1.6. There we go. All right, that makes more sense proportionally. Love it. Okay, so journal H3. You're also going up. Yeah. And journal meta. I don't even have a font on the meta, so let's put it on 1.2. .3. All H2 headings up to 2.5, and then just subheading. .7. Looks about right. Oh, something happened here. All right, these dots. Yeah, so went up to 1.4. Which we can do. We can match. And client name. It looks a little bit better to me. Spacing was looking a little off. Oh. No, I don't want Microsoft Teams. What the hell? It's not what we want. We want all labels. 1.5. That's 1.8. 1.8. 1.8. There we go. And I think you're up to 2, right? It's whatever. Oh. How come this one? Oh, yeah, I did edit that simple button. But, okay, I didn't see that was us from here. Okay, that still works. I don't mind that size for this. Journal collection H2, okay. What are we on the home page? .3 and 1.3. .3, 1.3. What size is this? 1.4. Sidebar link. 1.4. All H4 headings. 1.6. Excellent. Work. And that's going to be stuff that we're going to have to work out. No pun intended. Right, this is the big page here. I want to go to 5 here. List item or list? List item. 1.5. Process description. Process title. This is 1.5. 1.5 is 1.4. Yeah. Let's go get that to 6. That's already at 6. Oh, that's good as it is, or where it is. Okay. All right, so I think we're good there. No, I want to look at. Yep. So we got rich text. I think what we're going to do, article content. I think what we should do is just make this text the whole thing. I think we can increase everything. Right. And then it's this article intro. This way, if we do it just on the rich text itself, then all the sizes are going to increase. Like the size of all the text. I just want to do it on rich text. It goes to 1.3. To article content. .6. Last article. Oh, this needs a class here. Oh, hang on. Let's go back here. And we're going to go on to navigation empty. And then hit two birds with one stone. All right, let's delete this rich text. Do we still want that divider in there? Yeah, I think we do. It's up here as well. Can we see what size this thing is? No, it ain't gonna work. We're at 25 font. Now I want to make sure it's going to be the same size as this font here. 24. So not quite. It needs to go down by one font size. That might even be too much. Let's see. That's 24. Does it look the same? Yeah. Right. And then of course, as you get smaller, even let's just go home. Exit, exit, exit. Yeah. I think we're good. Oh, but one thing we also want to change. Let's go back to the home page. At this size. Did I already update this? I feel like I might have. Really make sure it's good at those really big sizes. Oh shit, is that? Yeah, that's okay because that's tall. Let's just publish. Yeah. Oh shit, we have a problem. Is this still? I feel like that's still conflicting. Because look, why is this thing going smaller to see more of our work and everything else isn't? That shouldn't be right. There, that's right, everything's shrinking and growing at the same time. I feel at this size, this is too much for the medium size. Now, what just happened? I feel like the headings aren't the size that they're supposed to be. Oh, maybe because it still had those other styles, and I wasn't. And then when I published it, there was just I thought it would come through, but the old CSS was still there. Maybe that's probably what happened. There we go. More spacing here between items at this size is needed. I think that's going to be here. Should maybe the logo go a little bit bigger? Slightly. Did it go bigger? I didn't see it go bigger at all. Oh, because it's got logo current, which is weird. I don't want logo current. I just want logo, please. Let's go to another page then, I guess. Oh, so stupid. Okay. Why does it look so small and I can't see anything now? Maybe it's just my eyes. No, let's find out. There we go. See? Pop. Pop. Okay. All right. You know what I think? I think that this is enough fussing and mussing. Fussing and mussing? Is that a word? I think this is enough fussing around over just the generic look of the website. And now it's time to start writing more of that content that I need to get written ASAP. So what am I missing? So I've collected, I could bring up my list of things that I still need to do. Ooh, that's one thing that I think we should talk about is the different tools that I use in order to, run my day-to-day business. That'd be probably pretty cool. And maybe talking about finances as well too. All right, so what do we got? I got to get the MailChimp working, right? To update the links. Content for the case studies. That's probably the biggest thing I need to do. And I got a few testimonials, so I think I need to get a couple more. I still definitely need a few more. I'd like to get somebody to review the content. It'd be really good to have a second and third and fourth opinion. So I'll get some people to help me with that, or at least I'll try to anyways. And is that it? I think that's it. Yeah, the case studies are the biggest thing. And I think, like I said, I think I'm going to lay them out on individual pages. So I'm going to start writing that today and tomorrow and Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then done. Saturday, Sunday, done. That's the hope anyways. Yep. Okay. We're going to leave it at there. So thank you for joining us. And if you're around at the start, thank you for sticking around after all those technical difficulties where I was talking to myself for half an hour and the sound wasn't even on, which was horrible. I should have even checked. That was totally my fault. Anyways, thank you for watching. Tomorrow, I think what we're going to do is we're either going to talk about finances and what I do to track my day-to-day expenses, or we're going to talk about the tools I use, or maybe we'll just interchange those for Tuesday or Thursday. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, we'll talk about one or the other. So that should be fun. All right. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. And nothing else to say except we'll see you tomorrow. Have yourself a great day. See ya.